And we are back. Welcome to my predictions for Premier League Game Week 26. There are just 8 Premier League fixtures taking place this weekend as 2 games were moved due to the Carabao Cup final taking place this weekend. One of those games was Liverpool versus Luton that was played earlier this week. The other one between Chelsea and Tottenham is going to be played at a later date. So like I say, that leaves us with just 8 fixtures to talk about this weekend in the Premier League, with Liverpool already guaranteed to maintain their spot at the top of the table, whatever happens for Arsenal and Manchester City this weekend. As for the video itself, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. We do this every single week and we've got even more stuff coming up for you. We're going to have our Carabao Cup final prediction for you tomorrow morning as well, so make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on that prediction as well. And let's get into all of the Premier League games this weekend. There are no early kickoffs on Saturday. I believe the Chelsea game was actually supposed to be played tonight, but that has obviously, like I say, been postponed due to the cup final. So that leaves us with just a few games at 3 o'clock taking place on Saturday. And we'll start off with Aston Villa taking on Nottingham Forest. Now, Nottingham Forest have been very good in the last few weeks. A very good 2-0 win for them against West Ham. Aston Villa's form has been incredibly hit and miss at the moment. So I don't think this is as clean cut as people might think. Villa, obviously, like I say, their home form was their strongest asset at the start of this season. There's a reason why they've been in the top 4 places for so long, but their recent form at home has been poor, losing at home to Newcastle, losing at home to Manchester United, and of course losing at home to Chelsea in the Cup. So I think Nottingham Forest definitely have a chance. The way that Villa have been playing recently, I think the loss of Ezri Konsa has been a bigger miss than many people thought, and of course the loss of Pau Torres, who is now back. I think Villa are going to edge it. I'm going to go for 2-1, but the form of Hudson-Odoi and Elanga for Nottingham Forest in those wide areas, and now that Awaniz up front is now back as well, I think they're a real danger at the moment. So real potential for Forest to spring an upset there. The second 3 o'clock game is between Brighton and Everton, and these are 2 sides that really have split form at the moment. Brighton much back on it again at the moment, winning games and scoring goals for fun. Everton really struggling. I don't think they've won a single game in their last 5 or 6. It might even be more. They're really struggling to score goals. And like I say, with Brighton scoring as many as they're scoring, this may be my bravest prediction of the game week. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Brighton, meaning I'm going to go for a Brighton clean sheet, which is something that very rarely happens. Obviously, it did happen last week against Sheffield United, but Sheffield United were down to 10 men for the majority of that game due to on loan from Everton at Mason Holgate. So we'll see. I think Brighton can pull off another clean sheet this weekend, so I'm going for 2-0. Next up, it is Crystal Palace taking on Burnley, and we have a new man in charge of Christopher in Crystal Palace. I think it is Christopher Glasner. They are taking on Vince Kompany's Burnley, and obviously, again, our thoughts are with Roy Hodgson as he deals with his health condition. He has now officially left Crystal Palace, and he's basically done in football now, which is a shame for him, but Glasner takes over. Crystal Palace take on Burnley, and I saw on a couple of different footballing podcasts this week, why is no one talking about Vincent Kompany's job being under any sort of threat? Because you really have to look at it and say Burnley have not achieved anywhere near what anyone's expectations were of them this season. They are getting pretty thumped each week at the moment. 5-0 at home to Arsenal last week. Palace, like I say, at home with a new manager in charge, up against the Burnley side that really aren't playing very well. This has to be a win for Crystal Palace. It really does. They played well against Everton last week with the new manager in the stands watching on. They can build off that performance, albeit it was a very scruffy and scrappy game. But if they can build off that performance, I would expect them to beat Burnley this weekend. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Crystal Palace. The final of the 3 o'clock games sees Manchester United taking on Fulham. This game went all the way to the wire in the reverse fixture earlier on this season with a beautiful run from Pellistri, resulting in a goal from Bruno Fernandes. Manchester United, of course, on a very good win run at the moment. I've worded that very poorly. Very good run of wins at the moment. Fulham, again, not playing their absolute best. They have a striker in Muniz who is scoring goals for fun at the moment, and fair play to him for that. They brought in Armando Broja because Raul Jimenez wasn't really performing. But in that sort of little mini interim before Broja came in the door, Muniz has stepped up and started scoring goals. But I think Manchester United should be okay in this one. The only concern is that they don't have a left-back. Luke Shaw is out for the season. There is it's an unknown return date for Malacia. They let Reguilon go back to Spurs because they're idiots, and they can't recall Alvaro Fernandez from Benfica because he's already played for 2 different clubs this season, meaning that even if they did recall him, they couldn't play him. So there's going to be no left back for Manchester United. It'd be very interesting to see what they do in that position. For me, you just play Dalot out there, play Wan-Bissaka at right back, and I think we'll still be fine. Personally, like I say, I think this should be a comfortable win for Manchester United. I say comfortable in regards to the fact that Fulham shouldn't get the result in this one. That doesn't mean it's going to be like 4 or 5-0. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Manchester United. I would expect, with the rest of the players still being fit, we should still be okay defensively. So I'm going to go for that 2-0 win. But Fulham, on their day, still capable of causing a result. Up to the next of the evening games. Again, my words are all over the place today. The first of 2 evening games on Saturday sees Bournemouth taking on Manchester City. Could be an interesting one, this. Bournemouth, of course, have turned their forms around again recently. They played much better last weekend after a couple of bad performances. Manchester City, of course, dropping points for the first time this calendar year with that 1-1 draw at home to Chelsea. And like I say, Bournemouth will put up a hell of a fight in this one. I just think, again, as always, you're going to always expect Manchester City to win. Hands to Pep Guardiola's comments that there is too much expectation on Manchester City, which is kind of fair because everyone expects them to win every single game. I do expect them to win this one, though. I'm going to go for 3-1. I think that's just about fair for all the things that you sort of say about them. But they only won 1-0 against Brentford the other day after that 1-1 draw with Chelsea. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm going for 3-1. That then brings us on to the final game on Saturday, an 8 o'clock kickoff between Arsenal and Newcastle. I'm assuming this is what would have been the 12:30 kickoff. It's just been moved to 8 o'clock in the evening. I don't actually know why, but it is Arsenal taking on Newcastle. Arsenal, statistically, the most informed team in the Premier League at the moment, with the amount of goals they're scoring, the lack of goals they're conceding, and of course all the points they are accumulating. However, they did just lose to Porto in the Champions League, which was a shock result, to say the least. I went for a 3-0 Arsenal win in that one, so they'll definitely be looking to bounce back. Newcastle, as we know, on their day are a very, very good side. However, again, statistically, they are really not performing away from home, especially when it comes to goals conceded. Last year, they were the best side defensively in the Premier League. This season, they're something like 15th or 16th defensively. They've been really, really poor. And if Arsenal play the way they've been playing in the league, they're going to be far too strong for Newcastle. So I'm going to go for 3-1. I think, like I say, with the amount of attacking prowess Arsenal have at the moment, they should be beating Newcastle at home. Newcastle, as we know, could spring an upset, but I don't think it's going to happen this weekend. That then brings us on to the only game taking place on Sunday, due to the Carabao Cup final being the later game on Sunday. It is Wolves taking on Sheffield United. And to be honest, I don't think there's too much I need to say about this one. Sheffield United obviously had that win against Luton, but other than that, have been very, very poor. They are freely conceding goals, and Wolves are freely scoring goals. I thought the loss of Matheus Cunha would make a difference, but they played fantastically well without him the 2 games they've played since he's got injured. And against what is statistically the worst side in the league, I would expect Wolves to continue that run of form. I'm just going to go for 3-0 to Wolves. And then finally, we have the Monday night football between West Ham and Brentford. Now, what I'm going to say is probably not going to correlate well with the scoreline I've gone for. And that is, firstly, West Ham haven't scored a single goal in their last 3 matches. Brentford have scored goals in their last few matches. However, I don't really think this is going to be a game where I would expect Brentford to win, because I think West Ham are a very good side still defensively. That said, though, they did just get beat 6-0 by Arsenal. It's a weird one because, like I say, I would expect West Ham to win. However, the way they've been attacking recently, I don't think they're going to score more than 1 goal against Brentford. And the way Brentford have been playing recently, I can see them scoring more than 1 goal against West Ham. So even though I think West Ham should probably get the result in this one, purely based on form, I'm going to go for 2-1 to Brentford. So I hope that makes sense. I know that's a little bit of a weird way of putting it. I don't think West Ham will lose, but statistically, I think they will. That's the only way I can put it. Brentford 2-1 is going to be my prediction. And that is going to be it for my predictions for this weekend's Premier League. Like I say, we're going to have our Carabao Cup final prediction video coming out for you tomorrow morning. As always, let me know all of your thoughts on today's predictions down in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow morning with that Carabao Cup final prediction. I will see you there.